Good morning. Today, we're speaking about speaking today. Good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time of the day it is, whenever you see this. But yeah, today I'm talking about speaking. I'm not just speaking, but speaking life. And this is a question I've asked so many times on this channel. So I feel like if you've watched one or two of the lives, you're not new to this particular direction, but I've never focused on it like this. And it's what are you saying, right? What are you saying? Are you speaking life or are you speaking death? So, and the reason I need to talk about this is I found, let me not say we found, I found that I mean I'm a we, so if we kind of dip it, we have found. But I found that it's very easy to get negative. It's easier to get negative than it is to get positive. And what that means is it's easier to say, oh gosh, things are drastic, it's terrible, it's bad, we're struggling. It's easier to say that than to say it will be fine, things will look up, will be all right for some reason. And this is not an argument of um realism versus, you know, useless optimism. It's not one of those discussions. This is basically just me pointing you or pointing generally. I mean, if you look at it, it's great, but I'm just pointing to the fact that what we say has a great it hugely affects how things turn out. It hugely affects how things turn out for us and how we perceive the turnout. So what this means is things can look dire, to be honest. Like if you're being honest with yourself, things can look dire. And in that situation, if you said, oh, things are terrible, you would not be telling a lie. However, what you've done is affirmed the terribleness of the situation with your mind, and you've confessed it with your mouth, and now it is basically the biggest thing you might see if you're not careful. So my charge today, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be a short life. My charge to you today is to constantly speak life in every situation, no matter what it looks like. We'll be fine. It's all right. It'll work out. I'm confident it'll work out. I say that even when I'm not confident, by the way. I'm like, oh, this is not a problem. It's not a problem. It is not, it's all right. It happens. My acknowledgement is it happens, right? I've acknowledged that it happens. But then will it be so bad that we can't solve it? Unlikely. There's no problem that cannot be solved. I'm trying to check the screen. Yeah. Unlikely. There's no problem that cannot be solved. There's no situation that cannot be undone. So will this be a problem forever? Highly unlikely. You've got to learn to speak life. You've got to learn to. Scripture tells us about calling the things which be not as though they are. The person who did this is God. And then we need to follow in his footsteps. Right. I want to search out that scripture. I'm not sure where it is. Hence the long typing that you can hear. I'm literally searching, I'm typing the words and searching the scripture. Right. So this is the book of Romans. Romans. It's the book of Romans, chapter 4, right? Um, and this is verse 17. So I'm gonna read the OGNKJV and then go to maybe NLT or something. It says, as it is written, I have made you a father of many nations in the presence of him whom he believed, God who gives life to the dead and calls those things which do not exist as though they did. What does this mean? So this scripture, this verse is talking about Abraham, I remember, and it's pointing to how Abraham believed. Let me read from verse 16. Let me read full context with the same NKJV, right? This is Romans chapter 4. And in the NKJV, uh whew, you know what? Let me read from verse 13 for full context. Okay, for the promise that he would be the heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the law, but through the righteousness of faith. For if those who are of the law are heirs, faith is made void and the promise made of no effect, because the law brings about wrath. For where there is no law, there is no transgression. Therefore, it is of faith that it might be according to grace, so that the promise might be sure to all the seed, not only to those who are of the law, but also to those who are of the faith of Abraham, who is the father of us all. Right? As it is written, I have made you a father of many nations in the presence of him whom he believed, God who gives life to the dead and calls those things which do not exist as though they did. The next verse is, who, contrary to hope, in hope believed, so that he became the father of many nations according to what was spoken, so shall your descendants be. So it is that Abraham got this thing and he heard this thing and he just believed. The reason that it happened is because he believed. He believed, and it was granted to him through that faith. I'm going to read for scriptures like this, right? For a little bit more, what's the word now? Clarity. I'm going to read the TPT. I was going to say TLT. What's that? That's a mix of TPT and NLT. I'm going to read the TPT version, right? The same thing that I just read, but in the TPT version. So here, I'm looking for it. The Bible's like, no, you didn't get to read me this morning, my friend. I can use my phone. The Bible doesn't realize that I have a phone. Okay, so let me read it from my phone. This is Romans 4. Romans is the sign of, okay, Romans 4. I'm going to do TPT from verse 13 as well, right? And so here it says, God promised Abraham and his descendants that they would have an heir who would reign over the world. This royal promise was not fulfilled because Abraham kept all the law, but through the righteousness that was transferred by faith. For if keeping the law earns the inheritance, then faith is robbed of its power and the promise becomes useless. For the law provokes punishment, and where no law exists, there cannot be a violation of the law. 16. The promise depends on faith so that it can be experienced as a grace gift. And now it extends to all the descendants of Abraham. This promise is not only meant for those who obey the law, but also to those who enter into the faith of Abraham, the father of us all. Now, it now goes to point out that's what the scripture, this is where I was going. That's what the scripture means when it says, I have made you the father of many nations. He is our example and father, for in God's presence, he believed that God can raise the dead and can call into being things that don't even exist yet. So, this is our template for when we speak, right? If we're created of God, made in his image after his likeness, it means that we can do the things that God does. And one of the things that he does, he calls things that don't exist into being. He calls things that don't exist into being. And so what that means is that you have the capacity to create with your words. And this is why you cannot, I mean, God said it, Abraham believed it. It happened years after Abraham was gone. And then it was counted as a proof of faith for Abraham's belief. So something that happens, whether you realize it or not, what you say is showing your level of faith. What you say is portraying the kind of faith you have. Because what you say is likely what you believe. And so this is why This is why you cannot just speak based on your feelings. It's something I always say, and is that feelings are visitors. They're visitors. They come, they act out, they leave. If it's joy, joy comes, does its own thing and leaves. If it's sorrow, sorrow comes, does its own thing and leaves. Either ways, these feelings, they come and go. They're never permanent. And it's the reason why, even if you are feeling sad, you cannot declare sadness. You cannot proclaim, you cannot, because what happens, and this is my personal experience now. For every time that I've admitted, oh, I'm sad, I stay there. It stays, it never goes. Because I proclaimed it. Scripture says that the power of life and death, they are in the tongue. And those who love it shall reap the fruits thereof. Those who love this power, they will reap the fruits thereof. There's a video that has been trending since yesterday, and it's this video of this guy coming to kneel down and pray. And he puts the caption is different situations. Good days you pray, bad days you pray, happy days you pray, sad days you pray. When you make sales, you pray. When you don't make sales, you pray. When it works, you pray. When it doesn't work, you pray. So the place that you must be, as somebody who carries the power of life and death in their tongue, the place that you must be is the place where everything you say is not based on happenings and situations. It's based on what you know. And I've spoken about this before. And in that life, I was talking about the truth you know, and how the truth you know is what should guide your actions, your inactions, your speech, your planning, your thoughts. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be like a walk in the park, but it's you knowing that in this situation, this is my core, this is my focus. It is well. It is well. So there are things that you know, regardless of what's happening, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not, if as long as I'm still standing, there are things I'm not going to say. Job is one of my favorite examples of this. Job just suddenly went from having the best life to having the worst life. And his wife is like, in my opinion, this is a pretty simple problem. Curse God, die. And Job's like, nah, I'm not. And this argument is prolonged. His friends come around, they call him out, they say, you've done this, you probably did this, you did this. And Job counter argues, but there's no place where he goes to cursing God. He knows he can, right? I wanna read the scripture, because again, no paraphrasing scriptures. It's so easy to do that, by the way, I find. And so now I'm just so conscious of it. So this is the book of Job. This is Job chapter 2. This is where, the troubles are not even, they are not at the all-time high yet, right? And I'm going to do the NLT. I'm going to do the NLT for this. And so, for context, we know the story of Job. Maybe for context, let me just quickly read through NLT. This is Job chapter 2. One day, the members of the heavenly court came again to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser, Satan, came with them. Where have you come from? The Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on. Then the Lord asked Satan, have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil, and he has maintained his integrity, even though you urged me to harm him without cause. You see how God is boasting about Job's integrity here, right? Now, Satan replied to the Lord, skin for skin, a man will give up everything he has to save his life, but reach out and take away his health, and he will surely curse you to your face. All right, do with him as you please, the Lord said to Satan, but spare his life. So Satan left the Lord's presence, and he struck Job with terrible boils from head to foot. Job scraped his skin with a piece of broken pottery as he sat among the ashes. His wife said to him, are you still trying to maintain your integrity? Curse God and die. And Job replied, you talk like a foolish woman. Should we accept only good things from the hand of God and never anything bad? So in all this, Job said nothing wrong. In all this, Job said nothing wrong. And Job points to something that I think that we need to be conscious of as Christians repeatedly. And it's that even if your feet are deeply rooted in the Lord. I'm saying even if you are buried up to like your waist in the Lord, bad things can still happen, or things that you consider bad can still happen to you. Because by heaven's perspective, what was happening to Job was an exercise that was proving his integrity. Hey, Job's experience, by the definition of heaven, Job's experience was an exercise that was proving his integrity and love for God. By the definition of heaven. But by the definition of man, it was that this is recompense for sin. This is the reward for the bad life you've lived in secret. This is this is you getting your just what do they call that thing now? Just portions or something. This is you getting your reward. This is you getting what you deserve. That was the definition of man. So one of the reasons that you must absolutely speak life is your situation, by heaven's definition, might not be a bad thing. Your situation, by heaven's definition, might just be proof of look at my loyal and faithful servant. And so, if you are already bemoaning the situation, you're already countering what God has said. You're proving, like in Job's case, if he dissolved to or devolved to cursing God, if he devolved to, bemoaning his situation, it was already countering what God had said because God had boasted, like this guy, I can vouch for him. Now, if Job went to cursing God in that situation, he had rendered that entire boasting useless, quite frankly speaking. And this is why you must speak life. You must speak life. Because even if we are the beloved of God, we are his favorite, we are the apple of his eye, there are things that will happen in our lives that we will, quite frankly, be unable to make sense of. And even when we cannot make sense of it, it will still be God showing us, showing us off, being behind us, standing behind us. So there must be a consciousness. There must be a consciousness in how you receive and express your experiences. And so that's why your basic, your default must be speaking life. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but I'm saying that your default must be speaking life. It has to be a default state of mind, default state of being. Like you can see, I always refer to this meme. It's the meme of that dog in the middle of the burning building. The building is burning, the dog is just standing calmly. Or sitting calm. I don't even know if he's sitting or standing, but he's just calm in the middle of the fire. Because he knows fires will start and they will stop. Life will happen, moments will come and go. But how you're receiving, perceiving, and proclaiming about that season is more important than anything else. Whatever is happening in your life, what's more important than the situation is how you are receiving, perceiving, and proclaiming it. So, what are you saying about what's happening in your life? What are you saying about your situation? And sure, like Job, you may have someone who is saying, forget about this, your integrity. Cause God, get it over with. Stop this whole optimism. It's useless optimism. You might have people saying that, but it's very important that if you watch some of these lives, you know what this means. You lay hold. You cast down every imagination that seeks to raise itself. You bring everything subject to the power of God. It's where you hold your mental fortress. You hold it like, nah, my mind is firm on this. It is well with me. Nothing can convince me that it is not well with me. You cannot convince me that it is not well with me. That is your declaration, and you hold it. And so anything that is happening, you can say, like the Shunammite woman, it is well. Because you know that what I'm saying and what I know to be my story, my life, my destination, my destiny, different. So you speak life. You control, especially you control the tongue. That scripture in James that it talks about the tongue, right? it's it's oh Jesus, it's a powerful thing to be able to control what you say per time. It's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing to be able to carry your mouth like this and say, you will not say this, you will say this, right? It's a powerful thing. So this is James chapter 3 verse 6, right? And I'm gonna read I'm gonna read the NLT. It says, and among all the parts of the body, the tongue is a flame of fire. It is a whole world of wickedness, corrupting your entire body. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. That's the tongue. So it's something you have to control, because if it is a flame of fire, whatever you set it to is what will burn. If you set this fire against yourself, it will burn you. If you set this fire for yourself, it will warm you up. So you need to decide what you're saying with this tongue. You need to decide what you're proclaiming. You need to decide. You need to decide. One of my favorite scriptures to recite over myself is Psalm 23. You see, because every time I think of that scripture, I feel like if this is my reality, all my life problems, quite frankly, are solved. I don't have anything to worry about in life. If I can declare, oh, the Lord is my shepherd and this is my reality, my life is made. So it's something that I just speak over myself, and it's become a habit, so much so that on days when things are not working out, I feel upset, I feel confused, I feel, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still water. And that may be where I'll stay. He leads me beside still waters. He leads me beside still waters. So if God is leading me, there's no reason to be scared. I'm fine. Because He won't lead me. He won't lead me in weird places. And even if He leads me through the valley of the shadow of death, He is there with me. So I won't be afraid. I have no reason to be afraid. And that thing just, there's a calming effect. It just suddenly, oh, calms. You need to be in that place where you know, like Job, that things will happen. God will allow good for us, He will allow bad for us. That does not have anything to do with, you know, the uprightness of His person. It does not in one way affect the trueness of His nature. Because scripture already tells us there's no shadow of turning with Him. So something bad happening today, something unfortunate happening tomorrow, does in no way, it says nothing bad about who God is. It does not touch God's nature one bit. And so there's no reason to curse God. There's no reason to question God. There's no reason to doubt God. You have only one thing to do, to keep believing. That's what Abraham did. He believed because he knew that God can call. And if God can call things that be not as though they are, you can too. And if you can call things that be not as though they are, then it's better for you to speak life and call good things to life than to call unfortunate situations. I was watching a video, it's years, long time now. I think I was watching an interview with this Nigerian actress in team, and she said, in team, and she said she was talking about the power of positive thinking and positive speech. And she said one of the days that stood out to her most about this thing was one day where she was using her phone in the morning, right? And she was like, why does it feel like someone is going to steal my phone? And then she kept saying that, I think someone is going to steal my phone today. It feels like someone is going to steal my phone today. And then when she's out, on her way out, she's in the car. She's like, I just feel like someone is going to steal my phone today. And she keeps saying, someone is going to steal my phone today. And she kept thinking it, someone is going to steal my phone today. And she says at some point she forgets about that thing and she's there, using the phone by the window, and someone steals her phone. And it's like, I knew that was going to happen. And she said she realized that it was that she called it for because she kept thinking it, kept expecting it, kept proclaiming it. And sometimes that's what we do. I don't know if it's going to work. I think it's not going to work. I'm not sure it's going to work. It's not going to work. I don't know if it's going to work. Calm down. Relax. Relax. Before you lock it in a box that it won't work, let it not work first. Then you can say, oh, I tried, it did not work. Not that I tried and I don't know if it's work, it's not going to work, it looks like it's not going to work. No. So let speaking life come naturally. Speak life at every point in time, in every situation. Before it gets serious, before you start to overthink, just speak life. Just start out speaking life. That's all you need to do. Speak life. Insist that it is well. I say insist that it is well. Insist that it is well. Yesterday I spoke about Ezekiah, right? Ezekiah got news that he was going to die. Ezekiah went to God and was like, Lord, I don't want to die. It's quite simple. You need to insist that it is well. You need to insist, speak life, like insist. Don't let stuff happen. Oh my God, it's over. My life is over. Like, it's one of the easiest things for people to say. In Yoruba, I am it baja, like that's like my life is destroyed. You know, even I'm very interested in Korean language and culture. One of the first things, "Kunilaso, mangeso," like it's over. It's over. I'm destroyed. It's so easy for us to go there. Don't go there. Bring it back. Job told his wife, he said, you are foolish. He said, because we expect only good things from God and not the bad things. And so when bad things happen, I say it a lot. I will never stop saying it. That's just life. And so you cannot see a bad thing happening and begin to proclaim like it's the end of the world. Oh, it's over. Oh, my life is over. Oh, I'm never going to make it out of here. Oh, those things are, in fact, even in your despair, what you should say is the opposite. I definitely have to make it out of here. No way it's ending like this for me. No way. If you understand the motion, grab it, get yourself together, hold your thoughts, hold it down, cast it down. Everything that raises itself against what you know, right? That scripture says, let me read some other versions, right? New NIV says the tongue is a fire. The King James Version says it. The tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. Right? New American Standard Bible says the tongue is the very world of unrighteousness. It means that this tongue, this mouth is so strong. Like the things you say with your mouth are so important. They are so important. Amplified says, and the tongue is in a sense a fire. It's the very world of injustice and unrighteousness. The tongue is set among our members as that which contaminates the entire body, and it sets on fire the course of our life, the cycle of man's existence. Imagine that. And itself is set on fire by hell. So it's that there are things, like I said earlier, something might be happening to you, and it's just God proving your integrity, like with Job. But the devil is there. He's waiting for you to curse God. He's waiting for you to doubt God. He's waiting for you to say, oh, God isn't God. The devil is literally waiting for you to say one bad thing because he's an accuser so that he can hold you to it. That's what he was doing with Job. He was like, take everything from him and see whether I will not curse you. And if Job had actually cursed God, the devil would go back to God and be like, look, I told you he was loving you because you were blessing him. This thing is transactional. It would have so many arguments on Job's one word. He was waiting for Job to say just one thing. And so if we know that, like I said, the tongue is a fire, it will either warm you or consume you, depending on what you say. So you need to be very conscious of how you speak. You need to be very conscious of what comes out of your mouth in good times and bad times, when you're happy, when you're sad, when it's working out, when it's not working out, when it seems like the days are bright, when it seems like the days are dreary, when your energy is high, when your energy is low. What are you saying? You need to be careful. The CEV version, I love the way it says the tongue is like a spark. It is an evil power that dirties the rest of the body, and it sets a person's entire life on fire with flames that come from hell. Some of the things that we're experiencing now are things that we've said. I remember praying for a friend, and we're praying about a certain issue. And I was praying for her. I held her hand. I was praying for her. And I just saw a teenage girl sitting on, desk in like high school and saying all the exact situations that she was experiencing. Saying, when I'm an adult, this is what's going to happen. This is how I'm going to live my life. And so I stopped the prayer. I said, by any chance, did you used to say this as a teenager? She was so shocked. She was like, yes. I said, when you were in secondary school, did you say this? Yes. I told her, I said, I just saw you sitting on your desk in school and saying these things. She's like, and she tears up because she's remembering. Yeah, I used to say that in school. I used to actually say that a lot. Oh my God. A lot of the things you're experiencing now, if you sit down and your memory opens, you will realize that you were saying these things in high school when you were a child. You said it in careless banter with your friend. It can be any little thing, it can be any big thing, but you said it. You said it a lot. Some of the key things. And sometimes you grow up and think that this is a big life battle I'm fighting. No, you've spoken over yourself and your words are coming to pass. If you're watching this now, watching this at any point in time, replay or whatever, something that you need to do is go back to the core, right? Sit down, think about where your life is. Anything that looks, try to remember, did I at any point say this? Did I at any point say this? And you can ask the Lord to help you remember. The Lord is merciful. And I know this because I've not even remembered, I've remembered for myself, but I've also been, opportuned and graced to see other people's own. I had seen my mom. I had a dream one time and I saw my mom's childhood, things she used to say. And then I woke up, I'm like, Mom, you used to say this, you used to do this. And she's like, yes. And so she could pray that thing away because she now knew where it came from. It didn't come from some, how we think these are arrows of the enemies are fighting, or blah, blah, blah. It didn't come from that. It came from what she truly believed in her childhood and she was proclaiming. You know how you are young and you say stuff like, when I grow up, first of all, I'm not gonna get married early. I'll take my time to marry. And then when I marry my first husband, it can be fine. I'll marry him because it's fine. It can be poor, it can be, but I'll just marry him because it's fine. Then I'm gonna have a second husband. That husband is gonna be wealthy and well to do. But if he's not treating me right, I'll just take his money and run. Then I'll have a lot of money. Then you're saying that, right, as a joke, or you said that as a joke, but you said it not once, not twice, not three times. You kept saying it. You grow up, it happens. And you're like, why am I fighting these battles? Why am I fighting marital issues? When you're young, you say, when I grow up, I'll not work for anybody. Oh. When I finish school, maybe I'll do like 6 months in one company. But if they're treating me anyhow, I'll just leave there because, I don't have time for that rubbish. And then maybe I'll just chill for a while, maybe like a year. I'll think about what I want to do. And then in the second year, I'll start my own business. You've said that. And when you are saying it, you're prospecting, it sounds easy. But what you're saying essentially is you're not going to be able to hold down a job. You're going to now stay home. You're going to be jobless for a while trying to figure out what to do with your life. You get to the point of exasperation, then realize this is what you want to do. That's what you've said. But saying it that way, it doesn't look like that. Now, so when it's happening, you think it's an arrow. You need to trace it. This is why I said, whenever you see this video, just sit down and do the work of going back. What have I said in the past? What have I done in the past? What have I believed that is manifesting in my life right now? And then you need to intentionally, from this moment, start speaking life into yourself. Start speaking life. Some people, it's a situation. For instance, if you saw a lot of domestic violence growing up, you can be like, I will never marry. And then you grow up, you're in your 30s, there's now a desire to marry. But you've said it so much that you need to undo everything that has been said. You need to go back to God and realize that nobody can declare a thing when the Lord has not decreed it. You need to do that word of proclaiming, declaring again. Because, like I said, if God can call those things which be not as though they are, so can you. So you need to go back, retrace everything that you've called forth for yourself and undo. And you need to get into the habit of speaking life. I don't know. This was not even the direction this was going in, but I guess this is the direction I was supposed to speak in. So I mean, whatever. But speak life from today, from the moment you've heard this, from the moment you saw this short, from the moment you saw this snippet, from the moment you saw this, stumbled upon this video anywhere, begin to speak life over yourself. Speak only good things over yourself. The Lord is my portion and the cup of my inheritance. By my God, I can run through a troop, I can jump over walls. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It is well with me. I am blessed in the city, I am blessed in the field. You can speak to practical things as well. I will have marital bliss. My home is blessed. My children, whether you have them or not, my children are blessed. The children that the Lord has given me are for signs and wonders. You can speak those things now. You can speak those things now. Everything that the Lord has shown you of yourself in this conscious mind, whether it's a random imagination, whether it's something you heard someone say, you can begin to proclaim it over yourself. I heard a preacher say yesterday, day before yesterday, I can't remember when I heard the message now. The messages mix themselves up in my head. But this preacher said that when there is a call of God on your life, you will know. And if you know, it's important that you start to speak that thing over yourself. Believe it, walk in it already before it even shows up to other people. If I'm anointed, I don't need to wait for someone to tell me. I already know. It's very likely that you know. You'll feel it. You'll feel it. Speak that over yourself. And remember, when bad things happen, still speak life. Because again, I can't get over Job to his wife. Again, it is foolishness to think, to expect, to only want good from God and think that bad will not come. It is foolishness to think our lives will be full of only good and no bad. If there are no tough times, no challenges, how do you learn? How do you grow? How do you build discipline? How do you build resilience? I read this study that a couple of scientists did years back. They wanted to create the perfect ecosystem. So they got seeds, they got, plants, they got everything. They created a dome. They created this giant dome. They built this, giant observatory with all sorts of plants. And the plants grew beautifully, best conditions, great light, great this, under that dome. And they all grew, they were protected. There was nothing, they only put the natural organisms that they need. They only put things that will feed them there. And then after 5 years, the plants started to die. And what was the study? The study showed that because there was no wind, the plants did not have resistance. And without resistance, a plant cannot grow properly. A plant needs resistance. It needs to sway a bit. It needs harsh weather conditions. It needs insects and rodents and birds, and it needs all of that. Adversity grows you. So when bad things are happening, that's not the time to question God and think that God is no longer with you and think that your life is a mess. No, your life is very much on track. Your life is very much fine. You just have a lesson to learn. So a better question would be, Lord, what am I learning in this season? Not why is my life like this? Speak life. That's all I came to say today. Speak life. Let life be always coming out of your mouth. Let your words be seasoned with salt. Your words about yourself, your words about your life, your words about other lives. Speak life, not just to yourself, to other people. Because you can tell somebody, I've shared on these lives before. I was singing one day, I will never forget Alicia Keys' ghetto story, Abby survival story, I think. And I said, I was singing, here's my survival story. And I remember, I think the lyric I was singing was, I remember when we ate white rice and honey. Or all we ever ate was white rice and honey. I remember those days, something like that. I don't know. And somebody said to me, Kemi, you shouldn't sing at all. You should not open your mouth and sing at all. Bro, I died inside. For years. For years. I could not open my mouth. I was so timid. If I wanted to say, I thank God that that thing did not stay and kill me. Because now I worship freely, openly, on the streets, in the buses, in the cars. I've been known to get in cabs and start singing worship. And at some point, the Uber driver joins me because We gotta worship the Lord, yo. Speak life to yourself and to others. Speak life every time, in every situation. That's all I came to say today. Um, I hope that with these few words of mine, I have convinced and convinced you yet again to speak life. And if you watch this, it's encouraged you, reminded you of anything, strengthened you in any way. I'm blessed already because that's why I do this. I do this every day between 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a blessed day and a great weekend. Bye. Yo, 40 minutes. I said this was gonna be a short live.